Hi again everyone, and welcome back to the third and final video in the Wheel of Life and Action Plan series. I'm Olivia, the National Content Coordinator for the Manchester Unity Members Forum, and our final video today is about accountability. But before we get into that, I'll hand it over to Sofian to introduce himself and tell us a little bit more about today's video.
Hi everyone, and thank you very much for joining us on this last video regarding the Wheel of Life series. My name is Sofian and I'm the founder of Shaking Minds. The purpose of Shaking Minds is to create a positive impact in people's life, right? So I'm a life coach. I've been coaching people all around the world pretty much for the last decade, and so I have plenty of good tools to give you guys. So today what we're going to talk about is the very last step of the Wheel of Life. In the first video, we talked about what is the Wheel of Life and how to build your wheel. In the second video, we talk about the action plan, which will help you to rate yourself higher in terms of score when you do the Wheel of Life. So the last point of the Wheel of Life is accountability. When you create this whole action plan for your Wheel of Life, you need to be accountable for what you commit yourself to do so. Because if you create all these actions and you don't create accountability behind it, basically they're just gonna fall into a loophole and you're gonna forget about that, okay? So today I just want to give you a few tips on how to keep yourself accountable, right? So the very first tips that you can use, it's gonna be to do a good use of technologies, right? These days, there's plenty of software that you can use, like application, depending on what you're using. If you're using an iPhone or Android phone or whatsoever, on your phone, you can have something. On your tablet, you can have something. On your laptop, you can have something. There's many options available right here. Personally, I'm using something called Microsoft To Do, and that's my favorite thing to use because I can prioritize certain of my tasks. I can put a deadline very easily, and the setup of it, like the visual for me, I found that it works perfect. Now, everyone has different options, up to you to use it. If you have an iPhone, you can use the app Reminder, as simple as this, that will actually get you to get on what you're supposed to do. So once you find the app or the software that works well for you, you just want to implement all your actions into that system, okay? Ideally speaking, you want to make sure that you have a deadline that comes with all these actions, and you're going to have a reminder on your phone that tells you you need to do this by this date and so on, okay? So that will be your very first reminder. Very nice to have that with you when it comes to technology. The second reminder that you can have, the second thing that could create accountability, it could be when you wake up in the morning, you have a look at your action plan and you pick which action you're going to take. This action that you want to take, you can write it down on a post-it, for example, and then you're going to keep it with you during the day. You can maybe stick it on your screen at work. Maybe you can skip it on your dashboard in the car, wherever you know that you're going to see it on a consistently basis. Maybe you can put it in the mirror in the bathroom. So when you go back at night and you see when you brush your teeth, you're like, oh, I haven't done that today. So having a little post-it could be actually quite useful. That would be my second tips. Another tips, I know that many people, they love to write on their hand, right? Because it kind of reminds them, what am I supposed to do? It's another trick that you could do, potentially speaking, writing on your hand or writing on the arm. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of that because I like to wash my hand a lot during the day, so it would disappear fairly quickly, but that's something you could do. Another type of reminder that you can do, I remember I had a colleague that used to do that. He used to ask his client to put a coin in their shoe. I really like this idea because you feel the coin in your shoe pretty much all day long. And every time that you feel it, you're going to remember, I have to do an action. And you cannot take the coin out of your shoe unless you've done the action. So it's going to stay and be annoying in your shoe during the whole day unless you've done it. And I quite like this one, quite a silly one, but I quite liked it, okay? So these are like some of the big tips that I quite like. Now, a second type of tips that you can use is actually to make use of human connection and relationship. Let me ask you something, Olivia. If you say, for example, you tell your family and friends, oh, you know what, next weekend, I'm actually going to go in Queenstown and I'm going to have I'm going to go snowboarding or whatever it is. When you see your friends 2 weeks later, what is the first question that they're going to ask you?
I'd assume that they'd ask something like, how was your trip? Or how was your time in Queenstown?
Absolutely. So basically, because you declare to your friends and family something that you committed yourself to do or you engage yourself to do, they're going to hold you accountable for that. They're going to come back to you and say, how was the trip? So my recommendation will be all these actions that you have, I want you to declare them. I want you to talk about it with people around you. You don't need to say all the actions. You don't need to pick one person to give them all the 40 actions, right? You can say to your colleagues at work a few actions. You can say to your partner some other actions. You can say to your friends some other actions and your parents some other actions, whatever it is. But the more you're going to declare your actions, the more you're going to talk about it, the more you're going to get people to hold you accountable for whatever you engage yourself. Now, the ultimate one that I really, really like is actually to have like, I would call that an accountability partner. So what you could do is you could find someone that does the wheel of life with you, that does that whole process that we did together, and go together through the wheel of life, the action plan, and the accountability. And basically, you're going to be accountable for each other. Do that with a friend, do that with your mom, your dad, or your children, whoever works, right? Whoever you feel comfortable to do with. What you want is you want to have fun when you do it. And basically, you want to kind of push each other. Oh, have you done this? No, I haven't done this. What about you? Yeah, I've done this. Oh, I have to do mine then. So it's nice to have a bit of an accountability buddy, accountability partner, because you're going to push each other as much as possible. And that will be like my really ultimate tips that I could deliver for you guys. All right. So I hope like the accountability side makes a lot of sense so far, right? The very, very, very last one, if you want to stay accountable, is to get a coach. And that's one of the reasons why people come to see me is most of the time they assimilate the wheel of life very easy. They assimilate the action plan fairly easy as well. It starts to be a little bit tricky when it comes to be accountable and they realize that they dropped. Exactly the same as a fitness coach that's going to be here to push you to do your exercise and check on you, making sure that you're lifting all this kg that you're supposed to do. A coach will be here to do exactly the same. A life coach will be here to do exactly the same for you. He's going to push you to stay accountable to whatever you engage yourself to. On top of that, the coach will also give you some tools, and that's what I'm doing with my clients about, oh, you haven't done that action. Why is it? How come you haven't done it? What's the reason why you haven't done it? And we start to dig and we're able to have a look of what is under the surface and dig into the bigger issues that might be in the way of accountability right there. Okay, so there you go. You get all my little tips about how to hold accountability for what you tell you're going to say. Do you have any question about this so far, Olivia?
No, that all makes perfect sense.
Super easy, right? Awesome. So I'd like to finish that Wheel of Life series with the last piece that is missing, which is now that we have established Wheel of Life, action plan, and how to stay accountable, the question is, how are you going to put that system in place on the long term? So I'm just going to share with you the way that I'm doing it myself because I found that it's extremely powerful. Basically, every first of the month, I'm going to do a new Wheel of Life. I'm going to update my Wheel of Life. So I'm going to take my old one from the previous month and I'm going to build a new one next to it. Once I built my new one next to it, I'm just going to compare and see what they look like. Have I evolved? Have I reduced? I'm just going to simply point the fact that maybe this month I need to focus a little bit more on work and contribution because I'm actually scoring very, very low. Maybe on the following month, because I've focused so much on contribution and work, my health and nutrition dropped. So maybe I need to refocus on health and nutrition. So basically it's to keep you on check all the time. And what you're going to realize is sometimes you're going to work on one thing specifically and another one is going to drop. So it's going to be, the goal will be to try to establish a balance between all of them as you go. When you do a Wheel of Life at the first of the month, every month, you're going to be able to see your evolution and keep track of them so you can see how it goes. The thing as well that you're going to realize when you do your Wheel of Life is, for example, when you have that goal, when you had that goal of going for a hike every month, once it becomes a habit, it becomes your new normal. So your new normal when it comes to score, although you started from a 5, you rated yourself as an 8, now your new normal might go back down to a 5. You're still doing your hike once a month, but your new normal doesn't become maybe as fun and adventurous as what it used to be. So you're going to have to reach for more, and you're going to go getting new actions right there. Okay, so there's absolutely nothing wrong to have the things going up and down. That is completely fine as long as you're aware of it and as long as you put an action plan behind it. So when you redo your Wheel of Life, also redo your action plan as well. If there are some actions that you never ticked because they don't motivate you, get rid of them and put some brand new ones, okay? So review your action plan, review your Wheel of Life once a month, and keep track of what you're doing. One last thing that you could do is every time that you accomplish something, you can write it down on a paper as well. So you can have a specific piece of paper to say, on the month of October, I have my new Wheel of Life, I have my new action plan, and I have done this out of my list. So every time you tick an action from your action plan, you can report it on your paper of accomplishment for the month if you prefer. So what you can do, if you do that over a full year, you're going to be able to see what have you done, how have you evolved over the whole year, and you're going to realize that by December, you're doing some things that are really fantastic that you would never think about doing maybe when you were in January of the same year. Okay, so that's how you can use your Wheel of Life and how you can evolve with it, and that's going to help you to grow higher and higher and higher and higher in your life. Okay, so the Wheel of Life is available to download. The action plan is available to download as well, but if you want, you can take a simple piece of paper and draw them. And remember, Wheel of Life, action plan, accountability. If you need some help, we can support you, not at all. Don't forget to get in touch with us. It's not a problem at all. And so like I said, if you need a coach, you know where to find me. All right. So thank you very much, everyone, and have fun with the Wheel of Life. One more time, it's my favorite tool, and it has a very powerful impact on people's life. So make sure you use it. I'll see you soon for the next series video. Take care.